aesthetics, and health sciences. I want to start off with thanking Denise Fuller and the NASNPRO staff for giving me this opportunity to offer these short presentations. We're going to start off with digestive health. Digestive health is very important when you're dealing with skin conditions. And it is an internal factor that needs to be understood and addressed, especially when you're doing a consultation with your clients. Today, we're going to talk about something called dysbiosis, and we're going to go into that. We're going to start off with discussing about the human microbiome. And some of you may have heard of this microbiome, and some may not. But what they're finding in clinical studies is it's ongoing, how important the human microbiome is on our overall health. So what is the human microbiome? It's an aggregate of microorganisms that reside on the surface and in deep layers of the skin, in the saliva and oral mucosa, in the conjunctiva, and in the gastrointestinal tracts. So we have this microbiome environment all over in different areas of our body. The human microbiome functions as another organ, and the human microbiome contains 10 times more bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms than human cells. This enormous and diverse ecosystem includes 8 million bacterial genes to cohabitate with 22,000 human genes. The human microbiota begins to develop early in life and has been found in fetal placenta as well as in newborns. The typical healthy individual is inhabited with trillions of microbes which are unique to each individual. The human microbiome has been found to play a role in immunity, disease, and overall health. So what's important to understand here is each one of us are unique and with our microbiome. And there's certain things that can change it along the way. So now we're going to go into the topic of dysbiosis. Dysbiosis, also known as dysbacteriosis, is a condition where the microbial environment becomes imbalanced or impaired. Contributing factors that can affect and alter the natural balance of gut microbiota, and is a contributing factor to disease as well as skin disease. One of the factors is chronic stress, which can increase hormone levels and impairs the immune system, ultimately creates an environment for a microbial imbalance or maladaptation inside the body. So many of us deal with stress, but when it's chronic and it's prolonged, it can really have devastating effects not only on our overall health, but also on our skin. Contributing factors to dysbiosis include stress, diet, the environment, antibiotics, and the Western diet, which includes grain-fed cows. I want to discuss this shortly. Antibiotics, as we know, is commonly used to treat, mainly with dermatologists, acne and rosacea. But what it does, ultimately, prolonged use of antibiotics actually affects the microbiome. And if it's topical antibiotics, it's actually affecting the microbiome of the skin. And if it's oral antibiotics, it's affecting the gut microbiome. So that's why prolonged antibiotics, can have some devastating effects on our overall health as well as our skin. And the Western diet is the new thing that actually has been around for a while, but science is discovering more and more things on how the Western diet, which is the United States and over here in America, has devastating effects on our health. And in actuality, out of the whole world, the United States has the highest rate of acne in the whole world, and they have linked it to our diet. So what is the Western diet? It consists of milk and dairy products and meat. which is sourced from grain-fed cows. So the Western diet, which most of us consume, was shown to increase inflammatory responses and raise levels of the enzyme mTORC1. So what is mTORC1? It's a nutrient sensor which controls protein synthesis. The activity of mTORC1 is controlled by insulin, growth factors, amino acids, and oxidative stress caused by free radicals. So the biggest thing to get out of this one of the biggest things out of the presentation is to understand that our food sources increases inflammation in the body and in the skin. So we're going to talk about mTORC1 as a nutrient sensor. Research has shown that diet can overstimulate the mTORC1 signaling, which in turn can cause abnormal nutrient signaling. There's epidemiological evidence that supports the effects of milk and dairy products as enhancers of insulin IGF-1 signaling. Upregulation of the mTORC1 enzyme stimulates inflammation in the body. In this section, we're going to talk about mTORC1 and the enzyme and how it affects skin disease. Upregulation of mTORC1 enzyme leads to chronic disease states, inflammatory cutaneous conditions, and a disruptive skin barrier function. I want to reiterate a little bit on this because there's some important things here. Chronic disease states, most of us have been touched by somebody in our family that has a chronic autoimmune disorder or cancer, some kind of disease. And one of the contributing factors to those diseases is the upregulation of this enzyme, which is caused by our food sources. And inflammatory cutaneous conditions, which is conditions like rosacea, any type of inflammation with the skin, again, is linked, and science has linked this to our gut microbiome and our food sources. And also the upregulation of mTORC1 enzyme leads to a disrupted skin barrier function. And when we're dealing with skin disease or even skin conditions, important here, we have to make sure the skin barrier is functioning. And I will cover that at another presentation. So disrupted skin barrier function can lead to sensitive skin conditions and all kinds of skin diseases. So this is how important it is with digestive health when you're dealing with skin disease. And of course, chronic skin diseases that are affected by the Western diet, and this is all documented in clinical studies, is acne, eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, and vitiligo. So when you're dealing with these skin diseases and you're doing a consultation with your clients, this is important to understand how digestive health affects their skin. And it's also important for them to understand as a client how their diet can actually affect their condition. And here, wait a minute, I'm sorry. This is a video presentation by Dr. Caroline Leaf and how the modern Western diet is killing us.
There's so much more I could ask you, but just tell us, how long does it take to rewire, to change bad habits? Because as I'm listening to you, I know that I've got some bad habits and that I need to work on, and I'm going to be rereading this book. And I think so many of our listeners will be as well. So how long does it take? And give us some encouragement.
Well, it's really not that difficult. This is the whole thing. Our brain it does what our mind does. Our mind and brain are separate things. So whatever you decide with your mind will then rewire your brain. So all these bad habits, bad eating patterns, the modern American diet taste that we get used used to, you're going to withdraw from them.
Yeah.
It's more addictive than cocaine and heroin, the modern American diet.
Wow.
So you would go through withdrawal from heroin, you will go through withdrawal, headaches, etc. But it's not a difficult thing to do once you set your mind, because your mind's more powerful than your brain. Your brain controls your body. So your mind will change your body. It will rewire. What you've wired in, you can wire out. So that's the first thing, bit of hope, that there is hope. And it's also a cycle of 3 cycles of 21 days. So I talk about 63 days to think and eat yourself smart. And in my book, I have 3 sections. One where it tells you about the problems, one where it shows you the impact on your brain and body, and the third part, how do you make the change. And then I have an online that goes with that, where it teaches you. It's over 63 days. So it's a matter of understanding, how do I rethink, how do I handle food ads, how do I rebuild my pantry, what do I do. So it's really within, honestly, it's 3, 6, 9 weeks, one can have a complete and utter change in your body, your pantry, and the difference, and in children's behavior. Most kids these days that are being referred for learning issues, when you manage the diet, those drop away, concentration, attention, because immediately that food goes across the blood-brain barrier into your brain, and it starts shrinking parts of your brain and putting like glue-like blobs, just for the sake of making science easy, like glue-like little blobs where the brain fires. It affects the electrical chemical balance. So cognition, memory, all these things are impacted, and if you don't deal with it, it's long-term impact. So we're seeing kids as young as 2 with obesity, even younger. Babies are born obese. So the way we eat as parents impacts our kids too. So we literally almost have to rewire what even your great-grandfather has affected. So fathers affect girls. So it's no one's, the patterns pass through the bloodlines. So we need to think of our generational impact. Also, if we support those industries, what are we leaving for our kids in future in terms of, produce and land and that kind of thing? Because we're getting deserts forming globally. It's really become a very significant issue now in this generation. And our kids are really going to be impacted. By the time our grandchildren are here, if we don't make some significant changes, there's going to be a massive food issue, and diseases are increasing. And I don't think God wants that for us. I mean, that's not what He came to give us, life abundantly.
Yeah.
So we have to take responsibility for biological needs, which is a need. We have to feed, we have to eat.
So I just want to reiterate here that what the Dr. Caroline was discussing was basically how many Americans are nutrient deficient. Even though we're eating, we're just not eating, our body's not absorbing the nutrients. And again, when you're nutrient deficient, that enzyme, mTORC1, is upregulated and now causes inflammation in the body. So this is definitely, it's the new science that they've been talking about, how the digestive health is affecting us with our skin, and again, with chronic disease states. I just want to end this with saying I love NASNPRO because NASNPRO loves education. The Institute of Advanced Aesthetics and Health Sciences offers online science-based education and is excited to have this opportunity to share with NASNPRO professionals. Our educational platform has been reviewed and endorsed by dermatologists and is recognized by industry leaders and scientists known for their outstanding contributions to aesthetic and health sciences. In collaboration with NASNPRO, the IAAHS, the Institute will be offering a continuum of various short educational presentation to NASNPRO members. I want to thank you and Denise Fuller and the NASNPRO staff for giving me this opportunity to share this short presentation. If anybody has any questions, my number is 828-266-5668. And my email is iaahs.edu@gmail.com. And please visit my website, which is www.iaahs.com. So the Institute of Advanced Aesthetics and Health Sciences, we specialize in online education in medical aesthetics and health sciences because they are really linked. Aesthetics and the physiology and health sciences are all linked. And that's what I'm trying to bring to professionals, how our health and certain conditions are actually linked to our skin. And then, how do we address that? So I appreciate this opportunity, and I look forward to doing another presentation with NASNPRO, and I want to thank you very much for all of this opportunity. Thank you.